Yo, peace and love. This is my second video on my YouTube channel, Free Thinkers. I just come on here, talk about the things on my mind, things that a lot of people don't know about, things that people are scared to talk about because they don't have the right people in their family who are at the mental capacity to have these type of conversations. But this video, I want to talk about Michael Jackson. Very, very important. First off, as we all know, Michael Jackson was the king of pop, or the king of basically being able to get your attention and keep your attention. So they called him the king of pop. And in the Midwest, we call soda pop because once you open it, the top pops, and it's very, loud, so it'll get a lot of people's attention. But anyway, who is Michael Jackson, and why do I want to talk about him? Well, first, Michael was probably one of the greatest singers of all time. He's definitely like top 10 to me, top 5. Never heard his voice strain, crack, nothing. He always was able to go to the highest or the lowest. So he was just a very, very great individual. But he wound up becoming very famous around the age of 5, And in the 60s, being famous at any age is a very, very big thing because they back then, we didn't have stuff like social media. People weren't clout chasing. You couldn't just upload a video to YouTube and get on. So being famous back then was a very, very big deal. And for a 5-year-old who, has barely even seen public school, let alone now he's in front of millions and millions of people day in and day out, it'll take its toll on you. But fast forward to his coming out off the wall. It was like his big introduction into the music world as a solo artist, and we ate it up. It was great. And then he followed up with Thriller, biggest selling solo album of all time, hella platinum, influenced the entire planet in ways that people still are being influenced by today. So how does a man who is so skilled musically, have his character damaged and destroyed? Well, if you didn't know Michael Jackson before, all of the nose surgeries and the things that went on with his skin, it's gonna be very hard for you to really understand who he actually was. And Michael Jackson, he was a man who was very, very intelligent. First off, he was not somebody who let people get over on him. He was in the music industry for like 5 decades or like 4 decades before he died. So he's seen a lot of people get rich. He's seen a lot of people get poor. So he wasn't a stupid man. He was a very, very smart businessman, and he knew exactly what he was doing. And Michael Jackson wound up buying the Beatles catalog. Now, a lot of people know who the Beatles is. They're probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, band in the world, globally. They sold millions and millions of records. But Michael Jackson wound up beating out, I think it was Paul McCartney, for the Beatles catalog. And he bought that shit instantly because, he just knew, this is where the money is. The money is in the vibrations. The money is in the music, in his type of field. So he bought the entire Beatles catalog. And, he had a lot of battles with record labels. So I don't know if a lot of you remember, but Michael Jackson made Remember the Time on, I think that was his History album, where he had a video full of black Egyptians everywhere. He was just dancing. It was very, very beautiful, at that time. But, in the 90s, that wasn't something that was mainstream or or talked about. But he was one of the first people that I saw bring that to mainstream. You know, that video was being played on MTV. When I was growing up, they were showing it all over BET, VH1. You know, it was everywhere. But this image that he was slowly creating for the people to see was becoming too powerful. You know, he was becoming too powerful. He was becoming too smart for the people who are so-called at the top to tame. And in a way, you know, he was becoming invincible. You know, he was becoming invincible. Hence, his last real project that he made that Sony like damn near tried to destroy, which was Invincible. But anyway, you know, Michael always maintained the imagination, you know, the ability to tap into his childhood at all times. You know, he was never a man who took things too serious. He was always in the mood to play. He was always in the mood to joke. You know, you see it in all his videos. If you ever watched The Moonwalker, the movie that he made himself, wrote and created himself, the whole story, you would see the type of genius that he was going to bring forth to us, you know. And if Michael Jackson was still alive today, the collective consciousness amongst the world would be completely different, just off of what he would have brought from the This Is It tour that would have paid for everything. Because a lot of people said that Michael Jackson was broke. Michael was never broke. You know what I'm saying? He just didn't have solid cash, but he had all the assets, you know. Like I was saying, watch all his old stuff. You would see that he knew that the real wealth was in art. You know, it was in these vases and paintings and, you know, stuff that's gonna appreciate with value. Like in Baby Boy, they say guns and butter. You know what I'm saying? He knew that it was better to have guns than it was to have butter. And he had like over $1 billion worth of assets around him that he owned. You know, that was his stuff. But anyway, in the 90s, when Michael Jackson was probably, I would call him the most powerful figure in the world during the 90s. If it wasn't Michael Jackson, it was Michael Jordan. You know, the two Michaels, or the two archangels. And I'm doing a whole nother video on Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls in Chicago, because I'm a person from Chicago. But anyway, Michael was becoming too powerful, not only physically but spiritually. It was getting to the point where, you know, watch the concerts. People was falling out at the sight of this man. You know how powerful you gotta be in yourself to make a person fall out, pass out at the sight of you. You know, look at his Super Bowl performance. The man jumped on stage, stood there for like 2 minutes and just looked at everybody. And there's people just falling out. People just going crazy. So, anyway, they understood that he was becoming too powerful, so powerful to the point where they wouldn't have been able to touch him. They wouldn't have been able to destroy him, you know, any way that they could. So they had to create, or they had to use one of his joys in life, which were children or having fun with kids, to destroy him. Now, like I was saying, Michael Jackson, when he was younger, he never actually had a childhood. He was either practicing, he was around a bunch of celebrities, or he was just on the road. So he never actually had the chance to go play dodgeball and, you know, shoot water guns on an everyday basis, jump in the pool, you know, stuff like that. He was never able to do that at that young age. So the older he got and the more money he got, the more he wanted to do that, and the more that he saw that the children of the world needed protection. And he was around to give them that protection. So he created a place where kids can come to and just be free, you know, be themselves, be children, which was Neverland. And you know, they took his passion and love for kids, and the things that he wanted to do for kids, and they used it against him, and they created allegations to destroy his character and destroy the spiritual hold that he had on majority of the world. You know, Michael Jackson wasn't just big in America. He was big in Africa. He was big in Europe. You know, he was big in China. He was big everywhere he went. anywhere he went, you knew that was Michael Jackson. You know, you can feel him anywhere he went. His presence was just that great. His spirit was just that strong. They needed to find a way to destroy his character, and the best way to do that to them was to use his happiness, which was children. So you had all of these different allegations of little boys talking about, yeah, he touched me, and he did this, and even after he died, they said he had a bunch of pictures and stuff, but all of that was just set up to destroy his character, so people don't believe in him, and believe in the positivity or the goodness that he was spreading around the world. The humbleness, the soft-spoken, happy, demeanor that he always had. And even when the sexual allegations was going on, and you saw the video when he was trying to say, these people are lying, they're not telling the truth, they're trying to attack me, they want me dead. People didn't pay him no attention, and looking back on it, I look at, his house was constantly watched, not because he was a celebrity, just because he was a celebrity, a powerful celebrity, but because of how important he was to us metaphysically, spiritually, the things that he brought to light for us, whether it was being a smooth guy, whether it was remember the time, whether it was releasing that side of yourself that was bad, whether it was looking at the man in the mirror, all of these different songs to get us to reflect about the great spirit inside of us that he was releasing, through his own. So he was watched by the government, he was watched by these elites. And before he died, Michael Jackson was a free agent, and he walked away with 50% of Sony Music Records. And if you look into that, Sony Music Records had some of the biggest artists under, that label: Beyonce, the Beatles. That's just a couple names. I can't remember all of them off the top right now, but that's just a couple names to show that Michael outsmarted them. Basically, he put himself in a position of power to, even after they tried to destroy his character, he was still in a position to thrive. He was still in a position to change the world like he was doing, heal the world like he was doing. And they had to destroy his character even further. So he wanted to make the album Invincible for us to let us know that, he's broken free from these elite contracts. He's no longer, under this spell that he's been fighting for all these years. He's free, he can do whatever. And the last album that he had to give Sony was Invincible. Now, if you play that album from beginning to end, you can see how Sony switched his sound, and kind of, turned the album into something that it wasn't going to be. Invincible was going to be like an Off the Wall Part 2, kind of. If you listen to the beginning of the album all the way to the end of the album, Invincible was going to be Off the Wall Part 2. And, they destroyed his character. If you listen to Privacy, he's talking about it all through that, but we only looked at him for the entertainment. We only glorified You Rock My World. We didn't listen to Privacy. We didn't listen to Unbreakable. The songs where he's putting his spirit into this song, letting us know that he's fighting this spiritual battle for us and for himself, so he can give us these messages, and we just shunned it off. And when he started coming out with This Is It, after he owed all these people money, that was gonna open the door, create so much money for him to just pay these people off, and then he was gonna be free to do whatever. I was doing a lot of research. They say he wanted to first make Remember the Time a full-length movie in Hollywood, and they rejected him. Then he wanted to create a record label for all black artists to be under one roof, be under one house, and thrive under this one house and not be taken in by the industry. So he had big plans for us, but spiritually they had to destroy his character. They had to destroy what he meant to us, as a figure. If you listen to his voice now, it's calming. It takes you to a place where you can find peace, and you look at just the overall history of Michael Jackson and everything that happened to him, the burning of his hair, the bleaching of his skin, you know, getting his nose to fall off. You know, a lot of people look at that and be like, you know, he was you know, in the Illuminati, and he was a pedophile. He was touching all these kids. He was a demon. But you know, that just wasn't the case. They made you think that he